Hi, today we're going to install some COB LED downlights controlled by QuinLED. These COB LED downlights are from a Chinese company called Lipu. They used to be on AliExpress, but can now only be found on Alibaba. They are 13 watt and produce about 1000 lumen each. Varying voltage changes the light color between 2000 Kelvin to 3000 Kelvin. It still allows PWM dimming, which I use with the QuinLED modules. So, this gives you a COB LED downlight of which you can determine the light color and the brightness at the same time. I tested quite a lot of lights, and they either produced horrible light or looked ugly. These were the perfect balance. They also have a CRI value of about 95, making them suitable for almost any situation. More information in the video description below. Since I'm using QuinLED to control the lights, I ordered them without a driver. Instead, I'm using a central power supply with a QuinLED connected to it to be able to dim them remotely. This is also the reason why I'm cutting off the default power plug. To replace it, I'm first stripping the wires using an automatic wire stripper, and then I'm crimping on a solid plug to ensure a good connection. Okay, that one's done. Let's do the other three I'm going to be putting in today, and a bit quicker. If you don't have an automatic wire stripper or these crimping tools, I can really advise you to get some. They make your life a whole lot easier, as you'll also see later on. Check the video description or the associated blog post, also in the video description, for links where you can get everything quite cheap. We'll be working on the ceiling of our living dining room today. During construction, we determined where they needed to leave openings and have a cavity or a hole in the first floor concrete. They used pots called a halox pot, which you screw into the first layer of concrete and then make the holes beneath them. Then they pour the concrete over it to make the actual floor, and the pots disappear. Oh, before you pour the concrete, you should also do all the wiring. Check out my home networking walkthrough series to see how this looked during building. Now, using a ladder, let's prepare the cables inside of the pots to attach the lights to. These cables are put in by my electrician, and I have solid core 2.5mm wires running up to the points where I want the lights. And then I finish off a stranded 1.2mm cable to each light. You need to use thick enough wires because we are sending DC current to the lights, and don't want the voltage drop to become too high over distance. First, I always cut off the last piece of the wire and then strip it, again using the automatic wire strippers. The stranded cable will again need solid wire ends, so I crimp on some ferrules. Next, I use a triple connection or terminal block to lock the wires in place and bond them together. There are lots of methods of doing this, but I find these connector blocks to be the easiest and one of the most secure ways. I use them for everything around the house. The triple block is very handy for connecting a string of lights in parallel, like we're doing right now. Okay, let's do the same for all the cables in the other pots. If everything went correctly, you end up with something like this, and it's time to put the lights into the pots. Since we prepared the COB LED lights earlier, it's simply the case of inserting the crimped connector into the terminal blocks, snapping them closed, and mounting the lights in the ceiling pot. Once all the lights are connected up in the ceiling, it's time to connect the other end of the wires into a QuinLED module. What you see here is going to be one of my future projects. This is just temporary. Don't worry, more videos about that in the future. Make sure that if you share a module like I'm doing, both connected lights accept the same input voltage. In my case, I'm using the second channel of the QuinLED I'm also using for my kitchen COB LED downlights, so they're the same. Since this QuinLED is already set up and the power supply is set to the right voltage, I only need to connect the wires to the second channel. I won't be showing you any configuration this time, but I'm already working on that video and it should be coming out shortly. Don't worry, I've read your comments. Alright, that looks good. Let's have a look. Using domotics, the lights are fully controllable with your computer, tablet or smartphone for instance. Here I show you some different lighting intensities. The fade between points are set to 2.5 seconds. The shimmering of the light you see in the video is because of the PWM dimming. QuinLED does this at 1000 Hz, which isn't visible to the human eye, but a camera will pick it up. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comments below. Also make sure to read my associated blog post for a write-up and links to everything used in this video. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.